Further proof that the women's movement is a hate movement and a criminal organization. Who is this lady, you might ask? Well, this is Donna Hilton. And what is she known for? Well, here it is in a nutshell. Hi, I am Donna Hilton, and I was chosen as a featured speaker to the Women's March on DC. Before, we murdered a 60-year-old homosexual man in 1985. We tortured him for days. We squeezed his testicles with pliers, beat him, burned him, and I personally shoved a yard-long metal rod up his rectum because I am an oppressed woman. Now I lecture at university on women's rights so your daughters have someone to look up to. And daughters will look up. Hey, all you guys who have daughters, your daughters will look up to this criminal who tortured a man. And now she is a head speaker to this hate movement, right? And all you gay men involved in the LGBT said nothing about this. They were completely silent about this gay man being murdered and tortured. And that's because the LGBT is run and owned by the feminist hate movement. And any gay man who involves himself in that group gets what he deserves. I have nothing but contempt for them, right? Because you notice all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if you're gay once a woman is attacking you, right? Now, this woman, of course, gets out of jail because she was in there. At least they give her 25 to life. They gave her 27 years. Good. But she gets to come out, and this monster was invited as a speaker. So it just goes to show you that the women's rights movement, again, is a hate movement. And she gets to play the victim. In 1986, I was sentenced to 25 years to life for kidnapping and second-degree murder. I served the time at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, the only maximum security prison for women in New York State. Well, obviously, they don't have enough. One isn't enough. My lifelong journey is one of many emotional and physical prisons. Lady, you committed a crime. That's why you're in prison, right? I went from abused child to a repeated rape victim. Just assume that's a lie. I just assume that's a lie by now. We've known enough. To desperate teen mother, to solitary confinement while the boundary of my world was 6'10". Solitary confinement, in other words, she went into jail and she couldn't control herself. They wouldn't just put her in solitary confinement. She went in there and she was terror in there. So this is, again, anything that happened to her, she deserves, right? And women have contraception. They're the ones who decide whether they'll become pregnant or not. So her being a teen mother I don't have any sympathy for that either, right? It's a story of tremendous pain and suffering. Yeah, for your male victim, you criminal, right? But it's also a love story about freedom, hope, survival, sisterhood, redemption, and forgiveness. Really, did this dead man forgive you? It's about learning to love myself and fight for myself and others. Wow, the hypocrisy here. It's not. It's up to someone. Someone else has to forgive you. It's not for you to learn to love yourself again, right? And who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for the gay men who get abused by women? No. So this is a pack of horseshit. Since my first day of freedom, I've been talking to politicians, to violent abusers. I mean, people like yourself. Is that what you mean? To teenagers, to prison officials, to victims, and to students to tell my story. And to thousands of stories belonging to women. Really, so you murdered a man, and this is a woman's story? not free to speak because they are silenced behind bars or dead. Shut up. You are behind bars because you belong there. And here you are given a megaphone to spread your hatred to men. Disgusting little life. Now, we'll get into this. Here's our hero speaking here. But first we'll start off. This is the Women's March. When you guys see a pink hat, associate it with a swastika, because it's the exact same thing. The only difference is the pink hats get to spew their hatred in public everywhere, right?
For reproductive rights, including access to safe and legal abortion.
Now notice they're for abortion, they're for killing children, but they're not for shared parenting. They're definitely for forcing men to pay child support. So no, this hate movement is nothing but hate, right?
Because to expand, one of us can be alongside inspiring leaders like the woman standing next to me. Please welcome my friend, Kiera Johnson, Executive Director of URGE, Unite for Reproductive and Gender Equity.
Nothing says gender equity like keeping down for shared parenting.
I see some nasty women out there. So nasty.
Yeah, notice they're admitting what they are and they're proud of it. Notice I see a lot of good women out there and a lot of victims, right? No, these are criminals, right? Okay, we'll get to our hero here. She'll be up here soon. All ages and all races hate men. Women of all races and ages hate men. Now, let's see. Here's our hero right here.
Serena and Amos Gonzalez, please reunite on stage left.
Get ready for the hypocrisy.
Women's March! DC! That's right, that's right. This march is about us, the people, the women in this country who refuse to be marginalized, sexualized, and abused and silenced.
Oh, really? You abused after tortured a man? But notice she said sexualized, and this is why I brought this up, right? Do you know what the motivation for her murdering this guy? She was promised a share of $9,000, and guess what she wanted to use that for? Donna wanted hers to pay for a picture portfolio to help her break into modeling, right? So this woman was going to sexualize herself. And then these criminal hypocrites come up and try to attack men by saying, we're involved with that. We're not. We're not. We're not responsible for what these women do, right? All they are about is their sex and nothing else. This woman accomplished nothing good in her life. She's just a vile criminal, right? And these articles are always downplaying this, right? Look at this. Some sources have even gone so far as to claim that the man was gay, that her victim, Thomas, right? Thomas Vigliarolo. Whether or not this is true is unclear. This is true. It's very easy because he's a victim. He must have known somebody, and they would have been able to tell you what his orientation was. So they're saying this so they say, oh, you know, don't bother the LGBT. You know, this is not homophobia, because when a woman kills a man, he deserves it, right? Disgusting. Donna Hilton's conviction in the torture murder case has many people wondering why on earth she would be part of a women's march, because the women's march is a hate movement and a criminal organization. That's why she is not only a part of it, but a head speaker. These women are so brazen, they don't keep this woman on the down low. They put her right out for everyone to see. Here is further proof that this woman she was not rehabilitated one iota, right? One such speaker was Donna Hilton, an activist and advocate for incarcerated and at-risk women who appeared at Women's March. So her victim was a man. And what's she fighting for? She's fighting to make sure that a woman like her who commits these heinous acts doesn't get 27 years in prison. That's what she's fighting for. Make no mistake, she is not about reforming women and making up for the male victim. She's about saying, I was jailed appropriately for what I did, and I want to stop that. These women are fighting to, she probably, if she could, she would close down that maximum women's prison in New York City. That's what she would do. This is what these women are aiming for, right? So everyone look at the Women's March and know exactly what this is. When you see those pink hats, I want you to think swastikas. It's the exact same thing. Actually, there's one difference again. This hate movement is enabled. People wouldn't allow men with swastikas to march down the streets without harassing them and calling for it to end. But these women get to go out and do it in our faces, right? Also want to point out that she was one of 6 other people, 3 men and 3 women. Just to debunk this idea that men are the violent ones. Women love this. This woman got off on that, torturing that guy. That's why she sexually assaulted him too. She shoved him up his rectum, that pole, right? Or that rod. This was a turn on. She really got off on that. I want you to know that too. Look how this article lies. How much of a role Hylton took in the killing of Vigliarolo is unclear, even 30 years later. No, it isn't unclear. Here she is admitting she shoved a rod up his rectum. She was 100% involved, right? So these articles will show the facts and then pretend that that's not the case. Everybody is involved in enabling these hate mongers. And this is something that the MRM should be working to shut down. There needs to be an actual MRM. So when these hate mongers show up in the streets, there should be an equal amount of men in the streets protesting it against these monsters and involving themselves with their congressmen and their politicians, just like they did in South Korea. So goodbye, everyone.